Hey everybody, Brian Wise here, and I just wanted to give you an update. First of all, there's a reason they make these kinds of things, gloves, and not necessarily, well, I mean, there's a reason to make surgical gloves, of course, but I'm thinking I may have to invest $150 and get me some heavy duty rubber gloves because when they tell you that lye is caustic and it burns like a mother clucker, trust them, it does. So I had a little paper cut, and I'm downstairs cleaning from the complete and total mess that I made this morning, and I apparently stuck my finger in the process in some lye that I was working with earlier, and let me tell you, it hurts. And then your automatic reaction is that, of course, that zaps. It's like sticking your tongue to an active battery. It's not good. Soaping, when you watch the say the YouTube tutorials, you think that, oh, it's pretty easy. You follow a recipe, blah blah blah. But there's a lot of stuff to keep track of. And so here's the things that I've learned thus far, and then I'm going to get into my experience this morning. Number one, gloves are crucial. Planning is even more crucial if you're looking at production. But I think most importantly, more than anything else, is patience, because it does take a lot of patience, and sadly, that's not a virtue that I have been blessed with, it seems. Because I want to get to the final product and I want to see what the soap is going to look like. And as I've stated before, no two soaps look alike, no two candles look alike. But I'm thinking back on the candle experience when I first started, and I remember feeling the same way then that I'm feeling currently about soap. Planning, patience, and of course, wear those gloves for a variety of reasons. You're working with a very caustic solution, of course, the sodium hydroxide and oil. So to me, you got a lot of lubricant, and you're handling a lot of dangerous chemical. And I see a lot of slippage, things like that. Just be careful. I mean, when they say it burns, like, you know what, trust them. But I did want to tell you, so this morning, I'm waiting on some things to come in, shea butter, cocoa butter, because I'm going to make liquid soap this afternoon. At least start the process. It's a lengthy process depending on what kind of soap that you're making. Liquid soap. You can make cold processed liquid soap, hot process liquid soap, and I'm going to do hot process, which involves a few hours in a crock pot. So I'm thinking it may be just a little easier than actual bar soap. But there is a thing that you can get. It's called Soap Cal, of course, and I've been using that. But even that's not as easy as it seems. Calculating not just the oils that you're going to use, and every oil has a different property. I mean, I have learned so much since I've started this process just a few weeks ago. But every rice oil is considered like a luxurious kind of soap product, and of course, shea butter and cocoa butter and the butters, are considered luxury, creamy items. Coconut butter and those kinds of, not butters, but coconut oil, those kinds of oils tend to give it more hardness, can make it more harsh, that kind of stuff. Olive oil, of course, is very, it's a luxurious, it's a Castile, anything made from plants, minus, I did a batch of soap with tallow, which is beef fat, believe it or not. Beef fat, based on the research that I've done, is really said to be one of the most nourishing oils for the skin. So I gave that a whirl, and it turned out okay. But if you use that, then you can't call your soap Castile soaps. I think too, like when you get into any kind of business, you do need a marketing strategy, but more importantly, a business strategy. Like, what product are you producing, and do you want to produce the same product over and over and over? Which brings me back to the recipes. So because the software gives you the opportunity to plug in different oils, for example, and you can do percentages of all those various oils that equals up to 100. And then you do your lye to water solution, and a lot of that's done for you. It kind of gives you this industry standard in terms of water content, but you can adjust that as you see fit. Of course, the less water you have in your soap, then the quicker it's going to cure. Those kinds of things. What I've discovered about castor oil is the more castor oil I use, the slipperier and wetter the soap tends to be, and it takes, to me, a little longer to actually harden up enough that I can get it out of the mold and cut, which is what I am chomping at the bit to get to. I mean, I'm telling you, when you pull out a gorgeous loaf of soap and you put it on that cutter and you just cut that and you see what you've created, it really is a very gratifying thing. But anyway, but here it is, and then it gives you a value in a range, like this is the hardness of your soap, and there's a range, like for example, the range for my recipe here is 29 to 54 for hardness, and this particular recipe scores a 26. And you would want it to score a 26 because you're making liquid soap, so you don't want hard liquid soap, right? So it gives you those values. It also gives you a range for creaminess, a range for well, I'll just read them to you: cleansing, conditioning, bubbly, those kinds of things. So I'm thinking, if it were me and I'm buying soap, I want a bubbly soap. If I get a soap that's cleaning and it's nourishing, moisturizing my skin, but I'm not seeing any bubbles, I'm thinking, well, that ain't working. But it is working. But you know how we are as consumers, we need all this validation. We need proof that things are going to work in this instant gratification. So I've been playing with this particular formula that I got from a lady who actually had a soap channel, and she's in Australia. In fact, I will just go ahead and tell you, it is Nelson Interior Soaps, and I don't know, just something about her that kind of drew me to her. Plus, she gave a really good tutorial out of all of the tutorials that I've been looking at so far. But I also noticed that in her particular recipe, this is her recipe, she said, her bubbling factor really wasn't up there, and I just wanted more bubbles. So I spent quite a bit of time this morning tweaking her recipe to make it my recipe, my formula, so it'll have creamy, this, that, and the other, and then also give me the bubbling effect, because I think that you guys we want bubbles, right? That's the whole thing. But I will tell you this, I wrote it down, I have a notebook and I'm keeping notes as I go. Going back to your business plan, like what's your product? You want to produce the same product time and time again. It's like research. You want validity and reliability. Does it produce the same results time after time after time? And so I think that you want that. So I'm experimenting. So I'm trying to get down a particular formula that I can use, that I can for my liquid soaps and then also for my hard soaps. But in the process of doing that this morning, it occurred to me, I also want to do a men's line, because what I've noticed in my experience, there could be a gazillion out there, but in my experience, I don't see a particular a product for men, like a shaving balm or a shaving cream for men, and then the more butters you add, then the creamier it becomes. I've seen a lot of videos for body butters and things like that, and I love a body butter as much as the next guy. And of course, women, I think, love body butters. In fact, there's this woman that I was watching her tutorial, and she is a riot. I liked her channel. I didn't subscribe to it, but it was cracking me up. But her body butter that she was working on that particular time was Baby Girl, and it was some kind of cotton candy scent, some kind of fruity candy kind of thing, but it just cracked me up. And it was pink, yellows, and greens, and it was all frou-frou. And so this morning I'm thinking, I need a product for men. And so I'm thinking, there's all kinds of lip balm out there for guys. I get that. And I don't know that any dude wants to walk around with a big old thing of chapstick that has the Color Puppy logo on it. So I'm thinking about doing something more masculine with the Bulldog, that would be more geared toward men, and do body butters for men and have like manly scents and things like that. Lip balm, beard balms, just facial cleanser, all those kinds of things. And I know there's all kinds of stuff out there. But again, I'm not doing this to pay the light bill, although I just got my utility bill and maybe I should. Because although Colorado's climate is very temperate to me, I love it, but it's like 95 degrees today. And yeah, there's no humidity, but it's toasty. Nothing like the South, but it's still toasty. But anyway, I'm kind of getting away from the point. So, patience, right? proper planning, because what I discovered this morning too, and I've known this all along, but see, my patience is what is getting in the way here. I'm diligently working on my product, and then I need a spatula. Well, here's the spatula. Oh, but that's the one I use to stir the lye, and I don't necessarily need it to stir this, so I'm frantically looking around for another spatula. So I just need to get all of my ingredients out before I start measuring and weighing, those kinds of things. And I need to get all of my utensils and my supplies out, and my scents and my colors and all those kinds of things, and vessels close at hand. Because what happens when you mix up your batter for your hard soap, although you're following a recipe, but you don't really know, like if I'm using Blue Spruce, which I did this morning, although I read up on it and it says it works well, but it started clumping up on me, so you have to work fast. And then I'm arrogant, right? So I'm thinking, I'm going to do a loaf of Blue Spruce. I'm going to put color, and I'm going to divide up the batters and have multicolored batters and have this fancy swirl design coming on for Christmas. And then I'm going to also fill up this mold over here that's kind of a flowery, individual bars of soap kind of thing. And didn't work out that way. And I got that crap poured, and we're going to see 48 hours from now exactly how it turned out. But what I didn't tell you on the first loaf that I made, I actually messed up on my lye content, because I made a bunch of lye at one time. So I was going to do 4 loaves of soap. And so I did 4 things of lye in one big batch, which means I've got to take out so many ounces from this big batch per loaf. And of course, I'm not paying attention. And so instead of taking out 15 point whatever ounces, I'll take out 4.56 ounces, which is the amount of lye that it takes to make one part. And I had 4 parts. It did saponify solid. It got solid. It was getting solid on me, and I did pour it. But what I noticed is for 32 ounces, I only got like half a loaf. So I'm going to have to research. I'm not sure what it means when you don't use enough lye. So I'm curious about that. Maybe it's something that I've stumbled onto that 1,000 millions of other people have already discovered, and I haven't. But if it's something that I can actually use, and it turns out to be good soap, then I'm going to actually incorporate that in future soap making. I'm also writing everything down, as you can see, like all kinds of notes. And then here, I'm incorporating sugar into my recipe, because sugar, it doesn't do anything in terms of the thickness of your batter and your scents and things like that, but it does add or it increases the bubbling effect. So I'm just playing around with it. I've got my basic recipe, and I'm just going with it. The other thing that I've learned is that I need to batch things. I need to keep some proper records. So I was able to go back from day one, and I've got 15 different batches at this point. And so on my ingredients list, I have everything listed, batch 15, and then the date that particular batch was made. And then I'm keeping records of that. So should something happen in the future with a particular batch, I can go back and reference my corresponding batch to see if things are adding up. And that's just like a safety measure. It's a good business measure, because, you know, there are some clowns out there who love to file a lawsuit, and you know who you are. But anyway, so that's just the business end. There's a lot of things. I wanted to do a video on the business aspect of any business, basically. And I've had a counseling business before, but that was pretty straightforward. Not as tedious, not as intricate as this has turned out to be, because I'm working with different products and different chemicals and things like that. But anyway, there you go. Patience, proper planning, and wear those gloves. Tweak your recipe. I want to get down a recipe that I'm going to use across the board for all of my hard soaps and for my liquid soaps. And then when I get into body butters and lip balms and shaving creams and things like that, I'll have that recipe down as well. Not only does it result in a consistency in your product, and you kind of commit all of that to memory. You don't need recipes. You can just kind of be rote learning, just do it from memory. But it also decreases some of your costs with regard to labels, because I can tell you labeling has been my biggest challenge, finding affordable. Labels are expensive. I mean, when you're talking $1.50 or 98 cents for a one small round, that's a lot of money for one round label. But so I think that if I stick to one recipe for each product, then that's going to result in, if I have 4 recipes, 4 labels, da da da. You get what I'm saying. But anyway, enough about that. I'm going to let you know how the loaves that I did this morning turned out. It'll be a couple of days. I'm trying to do a video a day. Every time I have a soaping experience, I want to do this video just kind of for my benefit to catalog my experience and the learning curve that I'm going through at the present moment. And I don't know, maybe somebody else gets something out of it. Like my channel and subscribe to it. I'm trying to push more traffic to lots of things. I did get a few orders in as a result of my first video, and I was really super excited about that. That's also a whole nother shipping. Oh my God. Ugh. And then packaging, because when you're buying something, it's like when I was a therapist or a counselor educator and I was teaching. I'm a retired professor of clinical mental health counseling, and I taught for a number of years. And what I would always tell my students, it's not so much what you're saying, but the package that it's delivered in. And I kind of equate the same thing with my products. Yeah, you're going to get a bar of soap, but it's going to be more appealing to you if it's in a glossy box with fancy tissue paper, blah, 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 than if you got it in a plain brown cardboard box with a mail-in label on it. So that's been pretty challenging as well. But that's a whole nother video. So this morning, I wanted to get into basically the glove situation, planning, patience, preparation is key. But I also wanted to show you some of the soaps that I've made thus far. Here is a spearmint bar soap. I'm not one for the spike. You see people who make their soaps and they have all these spikes on the top of it. I saw one gal, she had made some vanilla bean soap and it was all fruit up, and it had spikes, and it even had an actual vanilla bean, which I thought was probably expensive, stuck through there. Some people, if you have like a basil soap or an herbal kind of soap, they'll take dried herbs and sprinkle in the top of their. Well, I don't want to take a bath or a shower and rub, I guess, leaves or whatever all over my body or try to pick it out. So I'm just trying to go with plain square bars of soap. This is spearmint. And it turned out beautifully. And I'm also trying to, I'm not one about fancy swirls, it's going to melt anyway, but I'm trying to spearmint, I'm thinking green, so I have a spearmint color. Now, this one is weird. This is a patchouli that I did. Oh, look at that. It looks like teeth. Yeah. I did a wire technique, or tried to do a wire technique that I was copying off of YouTube. My design did not turn out like their design, but I can tell you it is kind of cool, right? Maybe I'll market this for Halloween. But it's got patchouli. And, on your essential oils, all of my soaps have essential oils, although I am doing a few batches in fragrance oil, because you always have that bozo you always have that individual that walks up and says, no, I don't want fragrance oil, I'm allergic. I want essential oil, I'm all natural, I'm an earth mother. Okay, well, I have that. But then you're limited in your sense too, right? The difference between essential oil and fragrance, essential is it pretty much comes from a plant or a cucumber or something like that. Fragrance oils tend to be man-made, but I am doing some of that. So that's pretty cool. I've had this for a while now, and this is probably in its second or third week of curing. And if I hold it for too long, it starts to get tacky. It's not even close to being cured yet. Now, I will tell you this, after each bar of soap that you do, you go through, you do a pH test. So before I sell these at market, I will do a pH test on each bar, because basically if you don't and you have a really high lye concentrate, so your bar doesn't really become like a cleansing bar but more like a chemical peel, and that is not good. So stay away from that. So here's another one that I did. I love this one. This is a lavender, and again, lavender is purple, square bar. There is a little bit of design on the top, and I'm cool with that. I just didn't want these big, heavy-duty spikes like I've mentioned before. A lot of people too will take like a cheese grater or a vegetable peeler and peel off the sides, and I'll clean that up a little bit before I go to market, for sure. Um, my computer died out on me, so hang on just a minute. Shit. Okay, sorry about that. I'm not a professional, apparently. Anyway, I also made this. This is just a vanilla bar. I did this one early on when I was just kind of experimenting, did not know what I was doing. I know a little bit more now than I did then. But it's black and white. I don't know. And I did put a little shimmer on top, just plain. I'm not going to do this again, though. When I think of vanilla, I just think of a light, creamy, tan brown, like a vanilla bean would be, or maybe even something a little darker brown, and a white batter with a vanilla scent. I also did some of these. These are just puppy paws. This is what I had, like leftover batter. And what I'm going to do with these is once they cure, I'm going to take the puppy paws and I'm going to put them back to back like this, right? You see? And eventually I'll have like a row of puppy paws, and it'll be as long as my particular soap mold. And then I'm just experimenting. We'll pour a bed of, say, white batter, and I'll let it kind of saponify or get solid. Not solid, but like a thick trace is what they call it. And then I'm going to take the row of puppy paws, I'm going to set it on there, but it needs to be thick enough because I don't want it to sink to the bottom, right? And then once that kind of gets situated the way I want it, I'm going to take more white batter and just pour on top of it. And then I'll let that sit. And then what I'm thinking, see, this is the planning part of it. And so what I'm thinking is once it saponifies, which takes about, for my particular recipe that I'm using now, 48 hours, when you take it out of the mold and then I start to cut it, so then I'll have just a white bar of soap, and right in the center I'll have a puppy paw, right? Color puppy paw. I don't know, we'll see. Now these next, I have lots more designs downstairs, but I just brought up the prettiest ones. The next design I want to show you is orange pomander. Now this is made from fragrance oil, and it turned out beautifully. It was a complicated pour for me. Not only to have to watch trace, emulsification trace 1, 2, and 3, which kind of is an indicator about the thickness of your soap batter, because if it gets too thick, you can't do much with it. If it's too runny, your colors all run together. I mean, it really is a process. But I wanted to pour different colors into squirt bottles like you would ketchup or mayonnaise at a picnic, right? The first batch I did, that crap thickened up like nobody's business, and all I could do was pour it into a mold and hope for the best. And there it is. And it actually turned out pretty cool, right? I'm surprised. I did put a little sodium lactate in this because I wanted my soap bars to be a little bit shiny, more shiny than what they would be without the sodium lactate. Also, the sodium lactate helps to harden it up quite a bit. And you can, when you take it out of your mold, it's not as delicate, because I have taken some soap out of their molds and broken off corners or things like that because it's just not quite hard enough. And of course, somebody that we know doesn't have a whole bunch of patience. So, but anyway, there you see, these are batches 13 and 14, I believe, and I'll catalog these, and I'll have, the date that it was made, the ingredients, those kinds of things. So there you have it, right? All the soap, not all of the soaps, but a good sample of the soaps that I've made thus far. I just got a delivery from Amazon. Oh my God, Amazon. I wish we should have bought stock in Amazon and AOL way back in the day, Google. Anyway, who knew, right? But I just got a delivery from Amazon. I'm super excited about that because this afternoon I'm going to do my first batch of liquid soap. And I have geranium, which I'm not crazy about, but some people like that flowery kind of smell in their soap. It's a liquid soap. And it's going to be a creamy soap, and I'm going to add a little bit of sugar to it. Hopefully it'll turn out a little bit more bubbly than the lady's recipe that I'm following, who's in Australia. Yeah, check her out, though. She's really sweet. Nelson Interior Soaps. Also got a licorice scented um, essential oil, and then a couple of others. And I'm just going to go on and tell you, all oils are expensive if you ask me, fragrance or essential oils. The patchouli that I made, for example, I actually was just bored one day and I was out of essential oil, so I just went to Walmart, which I hate going to Walmart, and if you know me, you know all the reasons why. But I just bought essential oil. I put about an ounce per pound of product, and I think a half ounce is what, $5, $6. The spearmint I think was $6. So if you're needing 4 ounces, then that's gonna $6 for a half ounce, right? So it's $24, right? So, yeah. So just be careful about that. But the point of that story is I've ordered these really groovy essential oils from a very reputable dealer up north, and they were quite expensive. So when I batch these will be marketed as a higher end soap, say, than this, which was one of my first batches. Although it smells good, it's vanilla. People don't. You know what I've discovered though and when I was coming up, vanilla, we just ate crazy over vanilla, right? But at market, I have lots of vanilla candles. In fact, if you look behind me, you'll see some of the here, very vanilla right here, and it smells really, really good. And my supplier that I get my scents from has a scent. Oh my God, you could just eat that. It's like, it's called Very Vanilla, but it's potent. And I'm thinking this is going to be a big seller at market. And so I take extra Very Vanilla to market. Nobody likes it. They say it's too strong. I'm shocked. Anyway, but while we're on it, let's go ahead and look at, here is my coral reef that I did. It's not a really cool design. I have some more coral reefs downstairs that are blues, greens, and reds, like all of the colors that you would expect to see in a coral. But I did like that for some crazy reason. And then this is a really cool one. This is going to be one of the Christmas scents or fall scents that I roll out. I'm doing a Christmas market in Black Forest and Penrose, and I'm doing them in November and December. They're just like one day kind of things. I'm also going to Denver to a market, which I'm kind of hesitant about, but it's 3 or 4 weekends in a row up till Christmas. But anyway, this bourbon, I wish that you were here. You probably can smell it already. Bourbon. I have another scent that I call sultry tobacco, and it has a really good scent too, and it's similar to the bourbon, but you actually do smell like a sweet tobacco in the background. Well, there it is, sultry tobacco. And for sultry tobacco, keeping all of my products consistent, I'm trying to do, this is what I think of when I think about tobacco, this kind of color, give or take in terms of the shade. As you see, it can be or is pretty close to bourbon, so I'm still working on that. This is an amber plum, and I think of amber plum, reds, purples, stuff like that, because that's what plums are, and amber, of course. This is a good, strong scent, too. When I started making candles, I was really concerned about the scent and whether or not it was going to hold the scent. Excuse me, but when you go to a store and you're always smelling candles and they smell amazing, and then you go home and you light it and you're thinking, well, what is that? There's no good, what we call a good scent throw. So I was worried about that, and then how much scent, per parts, like 1 ounce of scent to how many ounces of wax, and then your wax, the type of wax, and all these things factor into it. But I'm here to tell you, and I know you won't believe me because you think I'm trying to sell a candle, and I'm not a marketing person, and God knows I'm not a salesman, and I would love for you to buy every single candle that I have, but like I said, I'm not trying to pay the light bill. I'm just having a freaking good time making candles and trying to master this soap, which I think I am well on my way, right? And I'm super excited because my scents came in from this place up north. It's kind of a high-end, exclusive wholesale dealer. Hopefully they'll call me up when they see me touting. I'm not dropping a name now. And then maybe they'll break me off some scent samples, some essential oils. So we'll see. But that's crazy, right? Because a lot of these cats on YouTube that I've been watching, that happens. The girl that I was telling you about, when she was doing the body butter, baby girl, and cotton candy, and it was like pinks, all these different fruity swirls. Some designer broke her off, like sent her this designer handbag. Because she had a pretty big following, and he felt like that, he could use her as a marketing tool. And so she got a free handbag just to tout his handbag on her YouTube channel to her subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to be doing one of these every day until I want to consider myself a soaper, candler, is that how you say that? Success when I break 1,000. When I break 1,000 subscribers on my channel. I'm not going to tell you the amount of money that I want to make before I consider myself a success at market, but I came pretty gosh darn close a couple of Saturdays ago, and man, I was like floored. And I love that. I love that. It's such a gratifying feeling when you create something and you're able to sell that. Of course, you have sales taxes and city tax and state tax and municipal taxes. I'm paying a tax for the Pikes Peak cog and blah, blah, blah. And I'm glad to do it because I freaking love Colorado. I wish I just would have moved up here like 30 years ago. If I knew then what I know now, when my kids were born, I would have moved them to Colorado then. What an amazing place. Anyway, I also did some black vessel candles. Here's the Blue Spruce. Now, I'm also going to have coordinating soaps, soap, liquid soaps, bar soaps, and then my candles all in Blue Spruce. But that's a fragrance. So if you don't like fragrance oils, then you're probably not going to like that in my hand or body products. I'm not using essential oils in candles because I'm hoping that people aren't rubbing candle wax on their bodies. Although this is 100% soy, and you can. And I've been known to dip my finger in there and just kind of, it's really cool how you can do that. I'm gonna go through every one of these. Orange pomander. I've already done some orange pomander soap. That's what this is. These two bars here, and they turned out, oh my God, such a strong scent for that. And then I have Lily of the Valley because a lot of people like the fruity, or not fruity, but the floral scents, things like that. What I have gotten a lot, and I think it's because of the venue farmers market, people are wanting more herbal, earthy tones, eucalyptus, patchouli, of course, sandalwood, things like that. Champaca flower, it is probably one of my most favorites. This I could take a bath in. So when I'm marketing this at the market, so I'm driving people to it, and people are loving it. Let me tell you, it's flying off the shelf. I'm really shocked. But the Buddha, is said to have attained enlightenment sitting under the Champaca tree, which I think is a pretty nifty thing if you are into Buddhism, which Buddhism is not necessarily a religion, but just kind of a way of life. And I think that we all need to be practicing a little bit more Buddhism. Yeah, especially in the current client atmosphere that we have. Just love everybody, be nice, be kind, do good work. That's really all it boils down to. Okay, guys, well, I think I've kind of covered everything that I wanted to cover this morning. I'm going to do another video either tonight or tomorrow when I get my finished product. Well, I won't have a finished product, but as I start my liquid soap making journey. So remember, planning, proper preparation, wear those gloves. But I think for me, the most important thing is patience. All right. Peace out. You guys take care. Tune in again. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Just for my ego, if nothing else. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to have another video coming out shortly. Until then, which by the way, I've gotten quite a bit of feedback on my tagline, and it looks like it's going to be just soap it up and see what happens. All right, peace out. You guys have fun and stay safe out there. Ciao.